Nobody talks about the ones who had power in the streets, but chose to use it to lift people up. Nobody talks about the men who were respected, not just for what they controlled, but for how they treated others. And nobody really talks about how even those rare ones, the real ones, can still meet the same tragic end. This is the story of Black Just, known in the streets as Blackie, a man whose name still echoes through Queens and Harlem, not just because of money, not just because of power, but because of the way he moved, the way he gave, and the way he lived. If you're already locked in, hit that like button, subscribe, and drop a comment. You're about to hear a story most people don't break down like this. Black Just was born in Harlem, but he was raised in Queens. From early on, he had something you can't teach: presence, the kind that made people pay attention the moment he walked into a room. He wasn't loud. He didn't need to be. People gravitated toward him naturally. That kind of energy doesn't come from money. It comes from confidence and character. Even years later, major figures like 50 Cent and Nas would mention his name. That tells you everything you need to know. His reputation didn't just stay on the block. It traveled. Black Just became part of the original Supreme Team, one of the most powerful and feared crews New York had ever seen. This wasn't a small operation. This was an empire built on control, strategy, and street dominance. But even in a crew full of heavy hitters, Black Just stood out. He wasn't just another worker. He wasn't just following orders. He was trusted, he was respected, and more importantly, he was chosen. Black Just controlled the orange top vials, one of the most valuable parts of the operation. In the streets, those vials weren't just product. They were currency, power, and influence all in one. And he had it locked down. His territory around the Baisley projects was bringing in serious money. We're talking about $20,000 to $30,000 every other day. That's not hype, that's real numbers. But here's where the story takes a turn. Because most people, when they reach that level, they change. They get greedy, they get selfish. They start looking out for themselves and only themselves. Black Just didn't. Black Just believed in something most people only talk about: loyalty. When members of the crew got locked up, he didn't disappear. He didn't make excuses. He showed up. He put money on their books. He wrote letters. He made visits consistently. There's a saying that still floats around from the older generation. When you got locked up, the first car you got was from Just. Think about that. Not your family, not your closest friend, him. He would ask you what you needed and make sure you got it. That's not business. That's character. That's the difference between someone who just plays the role and someone who actually lives it. Black Just had style, but not the fake kind. He drove a gold Audi 5000, one of the last models from 1983. Back then, that car wasn't just rare, it was a statement. On the back, it had one word written clearly: Supreme. That wasn't just branding. That was loyalty on display. Kids in the neighborhood would literally chase the car just to see it up close. That's how much presence he had. But again, he didn't just show off for himself. He helped others shine too. There's a story about a young guy in Queens trying to impress a girl. He didn't have much going for him. Black Just saw that. And instead of laughing, he handed him the keys to a used BMW. No speech, no lecture, just one sentence: "You don't say I never gave you anything. Now go handle your business." That moment stuck with that man for life. And that's how influence really works, not through fear, but through impact. A lot of people throw around the term OG like it's just about age or reputation. But Black Just showed what it really means. A real OG doesn't put you in danger. A real OG doesn't hand you a weapon and send you on a crash mission. A real OG tries to keep you out of trouble, not push you into it. He helped the people make money, but also helped them think. He gave out a lot of free game. He paid bail. He gave advice. He supported families. Even 50 Cent once shared a story about him. When Black Just walked into a gym where 50 was training, there was no tension, just respect. He told 50 to write down everything the gym needed. 2 weeks later, the place was fully upgraded with brand new equipment. No social media, no announcement, just action. That's the difference between someone who talks and someone who actually does. Back then, the streets weren't just about survival, they had culture. Black Just and Rich Porter organized basketball games between Harlem and Queens. But these weren't regular games. These were high-stakes events, $10,000 per player, sometimes up to $50,000 total on the line. Packed courts, big names, real tension, and Black Just would be right there on the sidelines, smiling, enjoying every second. Because for him, it wasn't just about money. It was about bringing people together, creating moments, giving the streets something to feel alive about. Black Just was a connector. Black Just wasn't limited to one circle. One day he'd be with Rich Porter. Next day, around rap groups like Houdini. Then back in Queens with Nas, he moved freely. That kind of respect isn't forced, it's earned. Nobody had anything bad to say about him. And in that world, that's rare, very rare. But here's the truth most people avoid. When you're around power, you're also around danger. And the higher you rise, the closer you get to chaos. Black Just lived in a world where one wrong moment could change everything. And that moment came. His death hit New York like a shockwave, not just because it was violent, but because it didn't have to happen. There are two main stories about what went down. One version says that E-Moneybags fired shots at a vehicle tied to Supreme without realizing Black Just was inside. Another version says there was an argument. Tension escalated. Shots were fired. And in the middle of it, Black Just got caught in the chaos, possibly even trying to stop it. But the real twist, the part that still bothers people to this day, is what happened after. Black Just didn't die instantly. He could have been saved. Instead of rushing him straight to the hospital, there was a delay. The car went back to the neighborhood. They switched vehicles. Time was lost. And in that time, he bled out. That's the part that hurts. A man who showed up for everyone didn't get the same urgency when it mattered most. That's not just tragedy. That's betrayal, or at least something very close to it. When people talk about Black Just today, there's a mix of emotions: respect for the way he lived, pain for the way he died, and frustration for what could have been different. Nas once said that if you didn't know Black Just, you missed out on one of the realest people. And even someone like 50 Cent, who doesn't hand out respect easily, has spoken highly of him. That says everything. Here's the hard truth. The streets don't reward good character. They don't care how many people you helped. They don't care how loyal you were. They don't care how much you gave back. They only care about one thing: survival in the moment. Black Just did everything right by his people. He gave, he protected, he supported, and still, it ended with a bullet that wasn't even meant for him. That's the reality. But here's what matters. Black Just isn't remembered just for money or power. He's remembered for how he treated people, for being the kind of man who didn't have to help but chose to, for showing that even in a ruthless environment, you can still move with integrity. That's why his name still holds weight. Not because he was feared, but because he was real. If you strip everything away, the cars, the money, the reputation, what's left is the truth about who someone really was. Black Just was loyal. He was generous. He was respected. And even though his life ended in tragedy, his story left something behind that most people never achieve. Black Just had a real legacy, not just in the streets, but in the hearts of the people he helped. And that's something no bullet can erase. What makes Black Just's story hit different isn't just how he lived, it's how people still talk about him years later. In neighborhoods where memories fade fast and new names replace old ones every day, his name still holds weight. Not because of fear, not because of rumors, but because of consistency. See, anybody can be flashy for a moment. Anybody can have money for a season. But very few people leave behind stories where everyone says the same thing. He looked out. That's rare. There are men who had more money than Black Just. There were men who had bigger operations. There were men who were more ruthless, more feared, more talked about in headlines. But when you listen closely to the people who were really there, the ones who lived it, not watched it, you'll hear something different when his name comes up. You hear respect, you hear appreciation, you hear real emotion. Because he didn't just exist in the streets, he impacted them. And that's something most people chasing that life never understand. They think it's about dominance. They think it's about being the biggest name. But when it's all said and done, None of that matters if nobody can say you made their life better. Black just did that. He helped people when they were down. He gave opportunities when there were none. He made sure his people were straight, even when it cost him. And here's the deeper lesson that most people miss. You can be solid. You can be loyal. You can do right by people. And still, life can take a turn you never saw coming. That's why it's important to really think about the environment you're in and the path you're choosing. Because no matter how real you are, the wrong situation at the wrong time can change everything. Black just didn't go out because he was reckless. He didn't go out because he was disloyal. He went out because he was in a world where chaos is always one step away. And that's the part people don't like to talk about. But it's real. Still, even with that ending, his story isn't one of failure. It's one of impact. Because decades later, people aren't just remembering what he had, they're remembering who he was. And that's the kind of legacy most people never achieve. At the end of the day, being a real one isn't about what you say. It's about what you do when nobody's watching. It's about how you treat people when you don't have to. It's about the choices you make when you have power in your hands. Black just had power, and he used it to give, not just take. That's why his name still lives on. If you made it this far, you already know this story hits deeper than most. Go ahead and like this video, drop a comment, and let me know what you think was Black. Just a rare kind of figure in the streets? Or do you think there are more like him that just don't get talked about? And if you want more stories like this, just real, unfiltered true crime stories that people don't usually tell, make sure you watch the video below for more true crime video.